When you hear the name Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, I mean, you probably think of whirling dervishes, right?
Soaring poetry, that kind of universal love.
Exactly. His verses are everywhere. Millions of people know them.
The inspirational quotes.
But today, we're going to do something a little different. We want to set aside that quote machine for a moment.
And look at what's underneath.
Yeah, the systematic philosophical architecture behind the poetry. We want to see how he connects all these, seemingly separate human experiences, death, justice, love into one coherent roadmap.
It's an ambitious mission. And our sources for this deep dive are some really rigorous scholarly analyses. They're pulling from his major works, of course, the Mesnevi, the Divan-i-Kabir.
Right.
And the goal here is to show that his entire body of work points to one thing, that journey to becoming the insana kamil, the perfect human.
And achieving to wide.
Unity, absolute divine unity.
So the mission is to connect those spiritual dots for you, to show how Rumi's view on, say, a ruler's duty to the core is actually inseparable from how he saw his own death. And to do that, well, we have to start there, don't we?
At the ultimate problem, the standard human way of looking at death is just terror.
It's the breaking point.
It is. It's uncertainty, loss, and that deep, deep fear of non-existence, of yokelush. You can't reason with it. You can't buy your way out of it.
But Rumi, who was so rooted in Islamic mysticism, in tasavvuf, he didn't just tolerate it. He did something completely different.
He celebrated it. Exactly. For Rumi, death isn't destruction. It's salvation.
Salvation from what?
From what he calls the jail of the world, from the captivity of the body. If you see the soul as a little piece of the absolute whole, then death is just. It's the mandatory return flight home.
And this is where he gives us that incredible, unforgettable image.
The wedding night. Shebi Arus.
He calls his own death a joyous union, a vuslat with the divine beloved. It's not a funeral.
It's a festival. And think about how successful that reframing is. To this day, his death anniversary on December 17th is. It's a celebration all over the world.
Yeah.
There's no sorrow.
That's a philosophy that literally conquers the fear of mortality.
It does.
But where does that come from? Is it just a beautiful, poetic idea, or is there, some theological grounding for it?
Oh, it's deeply grounded. Our sources show it aligns perfectly with the Quranic view that, that accepting death gracefully is the ultimate proof of loving God.
So believers should actually rejoice.
We should rejoice in the meeting. And Rumi uses another metaphor to make it even clearer. Birth.
Birth.
Yeah, death is just a birth into the next world. He says, look, a baby has to leave the restrictive, dark womb to enter this wider reality. The soul does the same thing. It leaves a restrictive body for a much more complete existence.
Okay, so if death is this moment of joyous freedom, then this life we're living right now must be, incomplete, a kind of distraction.
That's the next pillar of his system, the fundamental opposition between the body and the soul. The body is temporary. It's from the earth, and it's going back to dust. The soul, on the other hand, is considered a fragment of the divine, breathed in from God.
So if our body is just this temporary house, what about the world around us? The one we spend all our energy on.
He pretty much dismisses it as a game, an oyun.
A game.
Yeah, he compares all our worldly affairs, our jobs, our status, our ambitions, to children playing house.
I like that.
They set up a little shop, they make imaginary profits, they worry about their little toys. But then night comes.
The game's over.
And all those gains just vanish. They weren't real. The world is just fleeting entertainment. It's a distraction from the real work.
Which means the soul is basically an outsider here, a stranger.
He uses that exact word, a stranger, garib. So the practical advice that flows from that is pretty direct. You have to nourish your soul more than your body.
Because the effort you put into the soul pays off in both worlds.
Right. But the effort you spend just on the body, that's temporary. It will all decay.
This sounds demanding. I mean, how do you even begin to prepare for that moment of freedom? He talks about this concept of voluntary death.
Dying before you die.
Right. What does that actually mean, practically?
It's about total ego abandonment. The letting go of ananyat. It's a mental exercise. You start to look at the world, your ambitions, your stuff, through the eyes of someone who has already died.
And a dead person needs nothing.
Nothing. The goal is to get rid of that need for worldly things while you're still alive.
But does that mean you have to become a hermit? Just give everything away?
No, and he's really careful here. He uses that beautiful analogy of the boat.
The water in the boat.
Exactly. Water under the boat helps it sail. That's fine. Possessions, a job, they're useful. But water inside the boat,
It'll sink you.
it sinks you. That's attachment. Letting the world seep into your soul. That's what's destructive. True spiritual poverty, for you, isn't about owning nothing. It's about realizing your own spiritual nothingness before God.
So you can be in the world, but not of the world. It's a fine line. So if we're trying to walk that line to get rid of the ego, what are the tools Rumi gives us? I know he talks a lot about intellect and love.
He does, and he gives us a really crucial map by splitting the intellect into two types.
Okay.
First, there's what he calls the partial intellect, kuzi akal. This is your everyday worldly intellect. It's great at, running a business, making calculations. It's focused on forms and shapes.
But it has a downside.
A huge one. Left on its own, it can lead to arrogance, to denying anything it can't measure.
What's a modern example of that?
Think about a brilliant programmer who designs an algorithm that's perfectly efficient, but maybe ethically disastrous.
They see the drawings, but miss the human cost.
They see the clay, but they miss the soul. That's the failure of the partial intellect.
So that leads us to the second, better tool.
The universal intellect. Kuli akal. This one is metaphysical. It's illuminated by something higher, by revelation. It can see consequences. It sees the big picture. It's the proper vizier, as he calls it.
This distinction is the perfect setup for his analysis of Iblis, of Satan.
Absolutely. The classic theological mistake. Iblis was extremely clever, but his logic was purely partial.
He looked at Adam and saw
clay. He thought, I was made from fire. He was made from clay. Fire is better. It's a simple material comparison.
a worldly calculation.
And it failed him completely. Because he didn't have love, he couldn't see the divine soul that God had breathed into that clay form. That's the ultimate failure of reason when it's all alone.
So if the limited intellect fails, the ultimate tool has to be love. Ash.
The fire of Talod, the fire of unity. It's the force that burns away everything except the beloved. For Rumi, love is a life source. It makes the fear of death totally meaningless.
And is this just some lofty divine love, or does, the love we feel for our kids or our partner, does that count?
This is one of the most generous parts of his thought. He says, yes, it all counts.
Really?
All of it. Love for your parents, your friends, even the desire for knowledge. He says these are all just veiled desires for God.
So they're like practice runs.
He calls it metaphorical love and says it is the bridge to reality. It prepares you. But to cross that bridge fully, you need that spiritual poverty we talk about, that far. Yeah. You have to empty yourself out.
And that whole process, the separation, the longing, the union, it's all there in the first few lines of the Mesnevi, isn't it?
Perfectly symbolized.
In the reed flute.
The ney. The ney is the perfect symbol for that purified soul, the insana kamil. It's been cut from the reed bed. That's its origin, its unity with God.
And its sound.
That haunting, lamenting sound is the soul's complaint. It's the sound of longing to go back home.
We think of a flute sound as just wind, but Rumi says it's something more.
He says it's not wind, but the fire of love. And to make that sound, what does the flute have to be?
Empty.
Completely empty inside, free of ego. Only then can it be filled with the breath of the master, with God's influence. It's both a poison and an antidote. It shows you the pain of being separate, but it also shows you the cure.
That purification, emptying yourself out through love, that leads us to the final piece. If you actually become that perfect human, how does that change how you act in the world? How does Rumi the mystic become Rumi the jurist?
Because that internal emptying has to result in selfless action. It's the logical next step. The insana kamil just naturally embodies wisdom, mercy, tolerance. And when you apply that to society, you get his definition of justice.
So,
It's putting everything in its proper place.
Simple, sharp. What's the opposite then?
Injustice, zulum is watering thorns. Justice is watering trees.
You put the resources where they'll bear fruit.
Exactly. Giving a benefit to someone who is destructive or punishing the innocent, that creates chaos.
So for him, justice is the bedrock of a stable society, the rule of law. Did he speak directly to rulers about this?
Oh, explicitly. He warned them that their power was temporary, that it was borrowed from the people and had to be used justly. He said an unjust ruler is heartless, soulless, and eyeless.
Wow. So governing justly is a spiritual act.
It's rooted in compassion. He argued that God gave the state authority so the poor and the weak wouldn't have to cry out to the heavens for help. The state is their first line of defense.
Yeah.
He even has that great story about the apricot thief to show how law is necessary.
One who uses theology to get out of trouble.
Right. The thief is caught up in a tree stealing apricots. The owner yells at him, and the thief says, "Hey, this is God's tree, and I'm God's slave. I'm just eating from God's bounty."
The clever excuse.
A very clever one.
Mm-hmm.
But the owner grabs a stick and starts beating him. He says, You're right. This is God's stick, and I am God's slave, beating God's slave with God's stick.
Huh.
And he keeps going until the thief admits that, yes, human laws and ownership structures actually matter. Divine unity doesn't cancel out the need for justice on earth.
Beyond justice, of course, is his famous universal love. How did he apply that to people, to character?
He saw everyone, Muslims, Jews, Christians, as united by that ultimate fire of love. The real measure of a person's value wasn't their group or their gender. It was shakhsiyat, character.
And he pointed out the soul has no gender.
None, neither male nor female. And his view on women for his time was remarkably progressive.
What did he say?
He said, "Woman is the light of God, not a beloved, as if she is a creator, not a creation." He argued that while men might be stronger physically, wise men become slaves to women through love. It's only ignorant men who dominate through force, which he called an animal instinct.
So it always comes back to inner character, not superficial comparisons.
Never superficial. That was Iblis's mistake. Comparing fire and clay.
So it all connects. The transformation of death into joy, the journey from limited intellect to transcendent love, and how that blossoms into justice and tolerance. It's one complete system.
And it's built on a kind of conversation between God's attributes.
Yeah.
His severity, quar, and his gentleness, loaf. So what feels like suffering to us isn't random. It's part of the process.
Suffering is spiritual housekeeping.
In a way, yes. He uses the analogy of beating a rug. When you beat a rug with a stick, you don't hate the rug.
You're trying to get the dust out.
You're getting the dust out. And the dust is the ego, the pride, the inaniyat. The hardships we face are the blows that clean the dust off our heart, preparing us to be that empty flute.
So the whole system is designed for us to find our way back home.
And the pain we feel is just the pain of separation. The fire of love is the engine that gets us back.
We started this deep dive with Rumi's view on death, and we should probably end with a warning from him. He said that the deepest regret of the dead isn't that they died, it's that they stopped at the pictures.
They get stuck on the surface.
Exactly. The superficial forms, not the reality underneath. So the challenge he leaves for all of us, for you, is what are your pictures? You know, what are the things you're claiming to? Status, maybe, or some intellectual idea, this whole game of the world that's stopping you from seeing that deeper reality.
The fire of love.
The fire of love.
Yep.
Right now, today, that's really something to think about.